What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from JTech.
And I'm Alex from JTech.
And today, me and him are going to be coming together to show you guys we're going to show you how and why you would check the transmission fluid temperature on a 2017 3.5 Ecoboost Ford F-150.
Before we get into it, some of the devices we're going to be using is the scan tool, so we can check the transmission temperatures, and then we're going to be using the laptop so we can check the steps and procedures on ProDemand.
Before we go to the next clip, we're going to be using the scan tool in order to look at the live data on the transmission temps, because if you go on the scan tool and watch it live, it gets more of an accurate reading whenever the car warms up and whenever it's cooling down.
So first we're going to be going over some of the whys on why we would need to check our transmission fluid temp.
One of the first obvious things, obviously, if you would need your transmission fluid temp, would be if you're going to a shop to get service on your transmission, they would need to know how to use the scan tool and go in and check the transmission information. Another reason would be, say you're having issues with the transmission slipping or not wanting to shift. One thing you would want to check for would be like the transmission overheating, which you could either check it on the dash on these cars, which I'll show you guys right here. If you look on the dash, you can go with the steering wheel, and it has it on the main menu on display mode. You can find transmission temperature.
So like Jacob said about the transmissions overheating, another one of the common issues for that would be leaks, bad solenoids, and then what was the other one?
Low fluid levels could also cause it. Really anything going on inside the transmission, anything getting stuck, literally something the size of a piece of hair could cause the transmission to get clogged or cause a solenoid to malfunction, which would lead to the transmission to overheat and need you to check the transmission fluid temperatures. So now that we've covered some of the whys previously on why you would need to check your transmission temperature, I'm going to read you guys the steps one by one straight from ProDemand on how you would go about checking the transmission temperature. Alright, so now I'm going to read you guys the steps off of ProDemand on how to check the transmission fluid. First thing you would do, obviously, is connect the scan tool like we showed you guys in the beginning of the video. And ProDemand recommends that you put it on a hoist because you're actually going to have to get under the vehicle to see the drain plug. And right now we're not going to be showing you guys how to do it all. We're just kind of running you through the steps and why you would need to do it. With the engine running, you would put the gear selector run it through each gear and hold it for about 5 seconds in each gear. This is allowing all of the fluid to pretty much run through the transmission and get through every gear and solenoid. That way you're getting an accurate reading whenever you check it. Whenever you go under the car, first thing you would do is hold the heat shield in the correct position and remove the bolts underneath the engine. Next, you would remove the transmission fluid plug, and inside of that there is an indicator level plug that comes out straight out of the plug, and I'll show you guys a picture in the next clip.
Once you remove the fill plug out of the transmission, you put in the fluid level indicator in the fill plug hole.
Alright, so once you guys remove the fluid level indicator out of the transmission, whenever you're trying to check the level, there are going to be 3 different readings on the fluid level indicator stick. If you look closely, there's A, B, and C. The designated fluid level would be at about the top of the C, which is right there at the arrow where the arrow's at on the fluid level indicator. Obviously, if the transmission fluid is not at the correct level, you at home will not have access to ProDemand, but you can go online and probably find the steps on any Ford forum for the year of your truck, and it'll show you the steps for adding or removing transmission fluid.
Once you finish checking your fluid and making sure it's all up to spec, you're going to install the transmission fluid plug again, and then after that you're going to install the transmission housing cover and attach the retainer.
make sure that you don't forget to go online and look up the specs for the fill plug and the bolts on the bottom of the transmission housing cover, just to make sure that you don't strip or crack any bolts. One of the reasons that we wanted to make this video for you guys is because nowadays that we're getting more technology in all of our vehicles, and a lot of this stuff is becoming more electrical and non-mechanical. A lot of vehicles nowadays do not have transmission fluid dipsticks anymore. Any of you old-time mechanics out there that are used to working on older cars, you might always, if someone asks you how you would check it, you would think that it's just a normal dipstick like the oil, but nowadays you have to go into scan tools and get information from online on how to read the fluid from the transmission.
And back to what Jacob was saying about for the older mechanics working on the cars with like the dipsticks and stuff. These newer cars, like, you have to take off some of the transmission like pans from underneath just to be able to check the fluid, and some of that stuff, like, you can't do it at home, and you're gonna need like all these other tools to complete these tasks and stuff.
That's exactly why the prices for everything are going up. All the parts are going up, labor costs are going up, because everything that you guys are needing to do on your cars, you have to take it to the shop in order to do it. So now that me and Alex have showed you guys and ran you through pretty much all the whys and hows for checking your transmission temp and fluid, we're going to hop out of the truck and show you the engine bay, and probably show you underneath if we can get to it without having it on a hoist, and just give you an idea of it not, or like what it would look like when there's no transmission dipstick, and maybe if we can see it's a fill plug. Alright, so honestly, now with these newer vehicles, since this is a 2017, you really cannot see anything from the underside without removing all the protective shielding and heat shields because the transmission would be right underneath there, and that shield, that's the pan that Alex was telling you guys about on the Protoman steps. Alright, so this is getting close to the end of the video. You guys might see a couple more pictures with some either talking or text over it, giving some extra details, but we hope this video helped you guys, and we hope you guys come back to see us next time. You got anything to say, Alex?
Nope, this is Alex from J-Tech.
And this is Jacob from J-Tech, and we're signing out.